Hey everyone, it's TheFilmist. Now, I've only got one piece that I want to talk about today, but I've got a lot to say, so strap in. This is, for me, I think, easily the release that I've been the most hyped about in this quarter, and it is Nicholas Roeg's Walkabout from Second Sight. We're going to take a look at the physical presentation of the disc and also the contents of the disc itself, and then of course we're going to do a little compare and contrast between its current, most popular Region A, or Region 1, however you define that, Blu-ray release from Criterion. So let's get to it.
There is a place where time stands still, where nature is harsh and demanding, where only the quick and the strong and the deadly can survive.
Now, Walkabout is one of my favorite films in the entire world. From one of my favorite directors. It's a dreamlike, evocative tone poem about the meeting between two cultures, about survival and loss of innocence on both personal and societal levels. And ironically, despite being one of the preeminent films from the emerging Australian New Wave movement, the film was directed by a cultural outsider, and in its visual approach toward the Australian outback, emphasizing its loneliness, its isolation, and its aggressive ecology, it anticipates the work of other filmmakers like Ted Kotcheff, whose Wake and Fright was released the same year and shows a similar outsider's fascination with the psychological and physical makeup of the Yaba. In its depiction of Aborigine culture, at the same time sensitive, mythic, and warily objective, it also prefigures the works of people like Peter Weir in The Last Wave and Fred Schapisi with the chant Jimmy Blacksmith. It's a wonderful film. Itself a form of public dreaming. Its story is archetypal, its imagery is Jungian and powerful in its subconscious resonances. It washes over you, dense in texture and meaning, yet elusive. It's truly a masterpiece of 70s cinema. Now, Second Sight, as a distributor, I'm not too familiar with. They're a relatively new name to the boutique label game, but they're coming up quick, and their limited releases tend to sell out really fast. This is helped not even a little bit by the fact that they've got some big name titles in their library that they're adding to it. We've got Jeff Nichols' Take Shelter, which is a masterpiece. We've got Assault on Precinct 13, John Carpenter. We've got Martin McDonagh's In Bruges, which I wanted to get a hold of, but once again it's sold out. And we also have, somehow, they performed an utter miracle. And in October they're going to be releasing the hottest Blu-ray boutique collector commodity of the season, surely, which is going to be a expansive release of George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. I'm sure if you're watching this channel you already know this, and you've probably already pre-ordered it too. Now, I've only got one release from Second Sight so far on the library here, and that is, of course, their release of When a Stranger Calls, and it's a fantastic, immaculate release. It actually bears some of the same hallmarks of the stuff that I like about Arrow's limited releases as well. This one isn't as stocked as what we're going to see with Walkabout, but equally it's got me excited because I know what they can do. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look inside Walkabout. So just from the outset here, we have a relatively dense slipcase cover right here, using the same chipboard, although a more reflective material than the kind that Arrow uses in their limited releases. The set is housed in a J-card, or with a J-card rather. This one is more removable than what was on our Flash Gordon set, and beside you can see that it's of a continuity with the artwork on the front. Now, on the side, of course, you have the title and the same typeface, the logo that was used in the Criterion release. Now let's take a look inside. Put this over here, of course, as you do. So, what we have, of course, we're going to go ahead and separate this out fully. This is all with brand new art. I'm rather excited about this. This comes with not one, not two, but three booklets here. And this first, let's see, this is, I believe, this is our book, of course, of analysis, as you'll see with any kind of boutique release here, Criterion or Arrow, and Second Sight is no slouch here as well. We've got not one, not two, not three, but four different pieces by different writers from all over. Filled, of course, with fantastic artwork, as you can see. Wonderful stuff, and I can't wait to get into it here. Of the writers listed, I am a huge fan of Simon Abrams, of course. He's fantastic. We get two pieces by Daniel Bird, whose work I'm not super familiar with, but one appears to be a retrospective, and another about the temporality of the film, I'm guessing. And Sophie Monks Compton, who's also really, really great as well. That's our first book. The second book, again also with new cover art, is the first draft screenplay, which that's just amazing, with a preface. Now the thing about the screenplay for this film that I know is that it's a lot shorter than the actual finished film is, because the film itself, if you've seen it, and if you haven't, I would greatly suggest that you do that as soon as you can, is that it's very much a mosaic sort of film. It's made up of different bits and pieces visually. It's very much, as I said in my description earlier, a tone poem, so the script is a lot shorter. There's a lot of room left for evocation. This is fascinating. I've never had my hands on the script for this film before, and I can't wait to read this. This is so cool. This is so cool. And then we also get, if that wasn't enough, reminiscent of Criterion's release of Peter Weir's Picnic at Hanging Rock, we also get the source novel as well, which I actually had no idea existed before I ordered the set from Second Sight, and this goes without saying that I haven't read it, but I can't wait to get into it. This is a new edition put out by Second Sight specifically for this set. I believe it was out of print beforehand, so they've done a great service in reissuing it. And also, once again, with new art, emphasizing, much like the slipcover and the other two covers for the screenplay and the book of essays, we get, of course, sun-drenched, hot. You can feel the heat almost from this art. It's fantastic stuff. Emphasizing the isolation, the loneliness, and how far apart these characters are, both in a cultural sense and also, I guess, in a relative physical sense as well. So now that we've seen the innards of the release, as it were, let's go ahead and head back to our B camera and take a look at the contents of the disc itself. I've kind of shied away, as you can tell, from showing what's on the discs, but that is our physical contents for the release. Wonderful. So now, let's go ahead and take a look at the contents of the disc itself. We're going to go ahead and do something different, because of course this film has a pretty well-respected Region A release already from Criterion. And then you have this here as well, which is only Region B, by the way, but for most of us who are into this stuff, we already own a Region 2 release, or a region-free Blu-ray player, so no matter, but just in case. So, just offhand, from what I'm seeing here at the release, Second Sight has done a complete overhaul of special features on this disc. There's nothing ported over from the Criterion release. These are all brand new special features and additions and talks that they produce themselves. Let's go ahead and take a look at what they have, and then I'll go ahead and tell you what we've lost from the Criterion disc as well, if you don't already own it. So, for Walkabout special features, we get a brand new 4K scan and restoration, which I haven't taken a look at yet, but I have taken a look at scans and different bits and pieces. Sorry there. I have taken a look at different bits and pieces that I've seen offline, and it looks beautiful. Now, what we get on this, we get a brand new audio commentary with Luke Rowe, who plays the young boy in the film, the little brother, and David Thompson, who, of course, is also a fantastic film critic as well. I've got several of his books up here on the shelf, the New Biographical Dictionary of Film, and so on and so on. He's fantastic. He's reactionary. He's just great, and I can't wait to hear him talk about that. He's so much fun to listen to and to read. He's very much a film critic in the Pauly and Kael style, which is very personal in terms of his reaction to what it is he's watching and talking about. We get a brand new interview, once again brand new, producing Walkabout with producer Cy Litvinov. That's going to be rather interesting, because I know this is also kind of a low-key production as well. We get a new interview with Luke Rowe, Luke's Walkabout. Ginny in the Outback, which is with Jenny Ginikotu, who plays the girl, the sister. We actually get this is super cool. We get an interview with Danny Boyle, Remembering Rogue, which is going to be all about, I'm supposing, the influence that Nick Rogue had on him and his style, which I think is rather apparent if you've watched any of Danny Boyle's films right next to Nicholas Rogue. You know, they're very concerned with temporality and space, and they both have a very mosaic style, although I am not the biggest fan of all of Danny Boyle's works. The influence that Nicholas Rogue had on him, I think, is clearly apparent. And then we also get a 2011 British Film Institute Q&A with Nicholas Rogue back when he was alive, Ginny Gooder, and Luke Rowe talking about the film, and I can't wait to watch that. It's full length. That's just great. Let's take a look at the inside. Now, there isn't much with Second Sight's releases in terms of what's inside the disc itself. It's just the disc itself, but as you can see, they put most of what would be inside the disc into the slipcover packaging, so that's totally fine. And of course, this is their rendition of a good old-fashioned Amaray case. So that's our Second Sight release. Now, what do we lose from the Criterion release? Well, the Criterion release is a bit different here. It, of course, has its own restoration that was done previous to this, and I believe this was released back in 2010. It was released back in. So this is a high definition. It's a 35mm transfer, which was director approved. We also get audio commentary featuring Rogue and Ginny Gooder. That's their own commentary they produce. We get video interviews with Gooder and Luke Rogue, which I'm sure will cover probably the same kind of ground that's covered in this, but from perhaps a different perspective. Now here's what we really lose in terms of content worth, which, depending on your on what approach you're taking to watching this film, I'm not sure how important it'll be to you, but there is a full-length documentary, Goldbeating, One Red Blood, which was produced back in 2002, which is about David Gopilil, who is I hope I'm saying that right, I'm sorry if I'm not, who is the actor who plays the Aborigine boy in the film, or man, however, I mean, he's a teenager. And that's about the size of it. That's a really fascinating documentary because he was a fascinating guy, David Gopilil. He's also great in The Last Wave, too, which I mentioned earlier, Peter Weir. I guess he was kind of like the go-to Aborigine actor for a while, I suppose. Just a note, I really like the cover of Criterion's Walkabout. I've hunted for this as a poster for a long time, and I will find it one day. I will find it. Also, too, with Criterion's release of this is just one of their standard editions here, They actually put a lot more emphasis into creating a fuller package with their release of Nicholas Rogue's later film, The Man Who Fell to Earth, which the Blu-ray and the DVD are both out of print. They were released later on by Lionsgate, which edition I also have as well. I'm not as favorable towards that one as I am towards the Criterion, which is a masterpiece edition of boutique release. But this altogether is a fantastic restoration. It's a fantastic piece. But they paid much more attention to Man Who Fell to Earth, which, like I said, are both out of print. But you can find the DVD version of the set, which they released first, for about going for $40 on eBay and things like that. And then the Blu-ray goes for an exorbitant amount. Now, here's the thing about the Criterion release of Walkabout. One thing, and there was an issue. I've actually had to replace this because in the first run of this, along with a lot of other films that were released in 2010 or were mastered in 2010, however you define that, there was an issue in the manufacturing process, and so a lot of these discs, they demonstrate what we call premature browning in the discs, meaning disc rot, basically. The first run of this experiences it, and I believe the first run of Foreign Correspondent and a few others, I think, also experienced it. So if you have that, it's not going on right now because of our current coronathon virus pandemic that we're experiencing, but once it's over or before that, you can email Criterion and they'll send you a later in-print copy. John Mulaney will take care of you free of charge, I think, or plus shipping and handling. So, both are rather stock editions, and both are whichever one that you get, I would say they've really paid well respect to one of the preeminent art house films of the 70s. And for a long time, Criterion's was the only release of this film in Region A or 1 that you could find. But I would say Second Sight has, in the years since, taken a step forward, and now you have this wonderful, wonderful release, which I am so excited to dive into, not, of course, just for its on-disc contents, but also, too, for the physical presentation, which is just immaculate. This, as well as being I am so happy with this release. It is seriously, as well as the film being a masterpiece. This is a masterpiece of home video boutique release, and it should be a centerpiece for any collection. So there's that. So all that being said, thanks for joining us. It's kind of a shorter video than what I usually do with these. Coming up soon-ish, we're going to have a talk, myself and my brother, about the new Batman trailer in a way that's not just a silly reaction video, as you'll see in other places, because we're both incredible nerds when it comes to Batman. That's going to be kind of cool. And I also have more installments in my Abandoned Project series, which hopefully y'all will get a good laugh at as well. Anyway, have a great night.